What's up, y'all? Welcome to this video, and in this video I'm going to be giving my review and thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC. I know the DLC came out last week. I actually beat it last week. Unfortunately, I just haven't had time to sort of get the review out there, just been busy, but I'm wanting to definitely get my thoughts out for this DLC, so here I am doing it right now. And just as a warning, this review is going to have spoilers about the story and gameplay, just because there's no point in really talking about this DLC if I can't really talk the spoilers and the ins and outs of it. So definitely going to be spoilers. If you don't want to get spoiled, don't watch. But if you're ready to watch it, let's go ahead and get started. So, like most people, I was very critical of the original Kingdom Hearts 3 when it came out. I thought it was a fun game, had some good elements, lots of good stuff, but unfortunately it just missed the mark on a lot of stuff I wanted to see. Some of the stuff that was in there I was very critical of, and just overall just did not quite hit the mark on what I wanted Kingdom Hearts 3 to be. It just really was just sort of the bare bones basic version of the stuff I was kind of hoping for. So immediately after Kingdom Hearts 3, I was all like, okay, this game needs some DLC big time to save it, like a final mix version. And then we got the announcement of this whole Remind DLC thing, so I was quite excited. All the trailers have been really good, so that was definitely really hyped to go ahead and play this DLC. And the DLC is sort of an interesting package when you see what they sort of come up with all these features. The DLC is really in two main parts. You got the Remind thing, which is this whole sort of weird take on sort of the Kingdom Hearts 3 final battle, story of Sora going to save Kairi. And then you have the Limitcut episode, which is this whole sort of data boss rush that is just like, yeah, but we'll get to that later on. We're going to talk about the Remind part first. The Remind thing opens up with a whole lot of cutscenes, a whole bunch of cutscenes, which felt like, I don't know, over like 20 minutes or something. And I was just like, God damn, when is the gameplay going to get started? Because the stuff that they showed is interesting. Conversation between Lucifer and Zigbar in Olympus. I was all like, okay, giving a little bit more context. Then the meeting between Xehanort, Zigbar, and Syx. That was interesting stuff. The most interesting one was a conversation between the Master Masters and young Xehanort, which was actually taking place during when young Xehanort was actually still like real young and not in the future. That conversation was interesting. The whole thing though is that the Master Masters got a tease of what his name was, but it sort of blurted out, and it's like, ah man, that reveal better be worth it, because I'm really tired of waiting for that one right there. But then the gameplay starts off with Sora, and just sort of to set up the story, the whole thing is after Kingdom Hearts 3's final battle. Sora's after defeating Master Xehanort, and Sora's that conversation. So like, okay, gotta go save Kairi, gotta go, like, you know, do my thing, use the power of Awakening, whatever. And that's when our story takes place of Sora fighting this journey. Now, what I'll say about the gameplay from this point on is that, unfortunately, I feel a lot of people are going to be using a clear game data file that is like a really high leveled one. Like I'm talking like a level like 70 plus or whatever. Just because people want to use the clear data file that has like all of their keyblades, mainly Ultimate Weapon, stuff like that. Unfortunately, all of the gameplay as Sora, if you were at like a high level, you absolutely shred through these boss battles. This DLC was not intended for Sora to be at sort of this maximum high level, just because all the boss battles you do as Sora, you absolutely shred through them. So what's apparent to me is that Keyblade, this whole Remind scenario as Sora, was designed for him to be at sort of the level, the normal level you would be at Keyblade Graveyard, talking like from level like 39 to like a max of like a level 45 or something like that. Because unfortunately, all the boss battles that I went through as Sora, absolutely shredded through all of them. And it was really disappointing, because I know most of the boss battles I've done before, but like I said, I wanted to have a fun time playing this DLC as Sora, and unfortunately I just didn't, just because I was just shredding through these boss battles. What I will say though is that I'm guessing if you're doing a critical level run or whatever, maybe it'll be better. Unfortunately, I was using my proud level save file. So yeah, unfortunately, the Sora gameplay was just not a good time. Now, the interesting about all of this is that this whole story involves Sora going back in time. And so what occurred to me is that, okay, Kingdom Hearts 3 is Infinity War, Remind is Endgame, because there's just so many parallels with Endgame. The whole thing about going back in time to sort of doing sort of this time heist, the whole time heist to get the Infinity Stones. And this one, it's about Sora going back and getting the Kairi Stones in sort of a certain scenario. And it was really kind of interesting. The part that did worry me though, is that you get to Keyblade Graveyard. Somehow Terranort sends Sora back in time to relive the Keyblade Graveyard. And I'm all like, what? I gotta go through all these these battles again? Like, is there going to be any gameplay differences? And I noticed right off the bat with the Xigbar Dark Riku fight, I was like, okay, there's no gameplay differences or anything like that. So I was really tempted to skip the cutscenes because I had just recently played Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm all like, I don't really feel like sitting through these cutscenes again. Then at the end of that Dark Riku Xigbar duo fight, you get this new cutscene with Demix. And I was like, ah, shit. Okay, they actually do have some new stuff in these scenarios. So it actually forces you to go back and watch them just to see, like, okay, what's sort of the new things that they got going on here. And the major differences occur with the Terranort, Vanitas versus Aqua and Ventus fight, and the Kyrie and Axel versus Xemnas and Cyax and Gion, all that stuff. Those two scenarios are very different. The Aqua Ventus one starts off with a new sort of scenario of them sort of confronting Terra and Vanitas. Then, of course, the Kyrie and Axel one has a segment at the beginning. And those were solid cutscenes. They give sort of context and sort of the stuff that's going on, more context. The sort of great thing about these battles, though, is the fact that you get to play as the other characters. This is something that should have happened with the original KH3 release, where it gives you the option at the start of the battle, yo, do you want us to go, you either go with Sora, or you can go with another character. So you get the option of going between Sora and Riku. Then for the Terranort and Vanitas battle, you get the option of going between Sora and Aqua, and then you get the option of Sora and Roxas for the Cyax battle. The unfortunate thing here is that they just leave out the other Keyblade members that are just like, hello, where's the option to play as Ventus? Where's the option to play as Gion? Unfortunately, you don't get those options, but it's like I said, it's still great that they gave us the option to play as these other characters. It really makes the whole story feel bigger and not just a whole sort of Sora-centric story, because it is fun to play as other characters. The good thing about playing as the other characters is the fact that they are at the proper level to where you do get a decent challenge in fighting these boss battles. They're around the level you're supposed to be when fighting the organization members at Keyblade Graveyard. So that was solid stuff. At the end, when you go, really interesting major change they did was the whole Cyax Gion thing, where you get this extended cutscene of all of them going after and fighting Cyax and Xemnas, including you get to fight as the Twilight Town trio of Roxas, Gion, and Axel. And that was all like, whoa, that was like actually some really fun stuff to Burrs. Like, all right, this is a really cool scenario there. And a little bit of redemption for Kyrie, because they show a cutscene of her sort of fighting Xemnas and sort of like, okay, at least she's doing something. Unfortunately, the cutscene ends the same way with her getting arm grabbed by Xemnas and kidnapped. So I'm like, ah, man, I was really hoping they were like sort of rewriting this whole scenario right here. But unfortunately, it didn't quite do that. All of it leads to the Keyblade Grave to the end, where it's there. The three on the Xehanort fight and all that stuff, and then more stuff of Sora, like an additional scenario of him going to Scala at Kylum. This whole thing is really weird just because it's all like, okay, Sora, it's two versions of him. His version that's the regular version of him finding the organization members, but the version of him that has actually gone back in time to sort of find Kyrie. And so this all leads to us getting to fully explore Scala at Kylum, him sort of finding the pieces of Kyrie's heart. And this is another thing people definitely wanted, was to explore Scala at Kylum. That was all like, okay, cool stuff. Because you start off just seeing the regular Scala at Kylum. It's all like, okay, the part we saw before. Then you get this expanded area that's to the left side, and it's all like, okay, this is some fully explorable, all new stuff, and it's really fun. It's a beautiful area. It's got great sort of dynamics, sort of cityscape visuals, fantastic music, stuff like that. All of it's great stuff. All of it, thankfully, gives us an end to Sora finding Kyrie and us getting that battle versus Master Xehanort. Unfortunately, I think I'm actually kind of jumping ahead of myself, because before that, we get the amazing Guardians of Light battle, where it's like all of them up in the air fighting the Xehanort clones or whatever those things are. That battle was pretty amazing, because it gave us sort of gameplay. We got to play as all of those the Keyblade wielders, and we got to hear some really cool dialogue in between them. Terra and Riku finally sharing an interaction. That was something that was blatantly missing in KH3. Aqua basically telling Lee to shut up because Lee was making some wisecracks. And then a really cool one was Ventus and Roxas acknowledging each other like, hey, you're not too bad. You're not bad yourself. So that whole battle was just like endgame level of epic right there. And that sort of Mickey scenario was kind of interesting too, along with that whole thing of Sora connecting the keys. All that was just like, wow, why wasn't all of this in original Cage 3? It just would have made things so much more epic and so much more fulfilling. Now we can get over, though, to finally the moment we had all been waiting for. When Cage 3 came out, I was like, man, I need some Kairi gameplay. This is the chance where you got to do it. She's a Keyblade wielder now. The whole thing is about her training. Where's the Kairi gameplay? And when we did not get it in Kingdom Hearts 3, I was beyond pissed. It was such a missed opportunity. And here, after all this time, all this years, and through the original Kingdom Hearts 3, we got our Kairi gameplay of her versus Master Xehanort. You got the option of choosing between Sora and Kairi. I don't know who the hell would choose Sora to fight in that battle, but you get to fight Kairi as Kairi, and it is some great stuff. She's got a really sort of interesting skill set, some good sort of limit attacks and stuff like that. And overall, it was just something to where I was like, man, yes, this is what I wanted to see right here. And so that basically ends to the Remind part. A whole thing that was kind of funny is they showed the original ending of Kingdom Hearts 3 and how all the different things that we saw, like Aqua, Ventus and Terra in Land of Departure, Sora and Kairi were there. Sora and Kairi were there when Naminé was getting sort of reborn and stuff like that. They show a scene of Sora opening up Kairi's heart. That was like, okay, so they were there the whole time. And all of this ends up making sense of Kingdom Hearts 3's ending, where it was like, okay, this is sort of the price Sora had to pay to save Kairi's heart. So overall, sort of, I think the gameplay differences they did, getting to play as the other characters, the big time epicness they added to Kingdom Hearts 3's final battle, all of it was really cool stuff. And then it was like the Remind part was like, wow, that was okay. Now that you've made sense of Kingdom Hearts 3's ending, that's something to where I can be like, you know what, I can live with this as long as you giving me the stuff I wanted to see, mainly getting to explore Scala at Kylam and Kairi gameplay, stuff like that. Then we get to the Limitcut part, the Limitcut episode. And this part was always sort of a major mystery to me. I was like, what exactly is this? Because I try to avoid sort of major spoilers and reading upon all the details. But then the Limitcut stuff is all like, okay, I know this is where the Final Fantasy stuff is. And it was cool. I mean, look, there wasn't enough time to make them a huge part of it. But I think Nomura realized, okay, it was a mistake not including the Final Fantasy characters in this. It's not a matter of just wanting random Final Fantasy cameos. It's the fact that those specific characters, Leon, Aerith, Yuffie, and Cid, they were major parts of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, although they were sort of Sora's guide, and it was sort of a big sort of, it was a mistake excluding them. And so it was good that they were at least able to include them in Cage 3 in some way. And the whole thing involves Cid recreating Sora's data, and then going in to fight these sort of data versions of Organization 13. And yeah, wow. The whole thing is just like, god damn. I will talk about some story first, though, and that it was very sort of like another Endgame moment, where just like how in Avengers Endgame, when after Thor chops off Thanos' head, it says 5 years later. Then you get that whole 1 year later for Cage 3, this part right here. And I was just like, 1 year later? Holy shit. And when you see what everyone's been up to, mainly the fact that Kairi's been sleeping for a whole year, it was like, whoa, this is some serious stuff going on right here. And again, getting to those battles though. Whoa. Okay. This is where everyone complaining about Cage 3 being too easy, I guess they really went out of their way to sort of remedy that thing. Because even if you use your level 99 file like I did, these boss battles are like they are something special right here in terms of difficulty. I went in the order that I went in, sort of the least ranking to the highest ranking. So I started off with young Xehanort just because Xion isn't available to fight off the bat, and I went from that point on to number 11, which was Vanitas, then to Dark Riku, etc., etc. And all of these boss battles are very challenging in their own way. There were 3 that I was able to beat on the first try. Those 3 were Dark Riku, Larxene, and Ansem, who was surprisingly the easiest out of them. Other than that, though, there are some really challenging ones. Like Syx is really challenging. Luke Shirt is challenging because of the whole time and game gimmick. But the boss battles overall, it's very fulfilling when you beat them all. Unfortunately, the 2 that they say for last, Xion and Master Xehanort, are quite difficult. And it's just like, god damn. the gimmicks that these guys got, especially Xion, the fact that every time you get hit by that light bar, your health goes down. It's all like, whoa, this is some stuff I'm not used to, but it's very fulfilling when you beat them all. And thankfully, I was able to beat them all within a decent amount of time. And so that basically, once you do all that, that ends the Limitcut episode, and then you get the secret episode involving Sora and Yozora. Now, the whole secret episode scenario, the whole thing about Sora's dreams and stuff like that, secret episodes aren't really supposed to make any sense, so it's really sort of hard to make any sense about this. All I can say is that Yozora, though, is a really just, oh my god, just tough fight. And I'm not going to lie, at the time I'm recording this, I still haven't beaten him. Just because his traps, his gimmicks, the timing that you have to have, memorizing his patterns, it's really tough. And at this point, it's going to take me a while to do it, even though have watched these YouTube videos, but it's just all about that timing. It's just tough. But even though me not being able to beat Yozora quite just yet, I can still say, as the way it's designed, yeah, another bravo in sort of game design, just how it's all like, you've got to have your skill at that maximum level. And this is what really the ultimate test of your KH3 gameplay skills right here. So unfortunately, I haven't beat Yozora, but I have seen the secret ending. The secret ending, it's just really sort of tough to make any sense of it. What the hell's Lucia doing there? All that stuff. But in the end, that's sort of the end of Remind, sort of a deal. The Remind and Limitcut, the whole story of KH3, which was really fun to watch and a cool setup for the stuff we're going to see in KH4. In terms of the other features, though, you got the data greeting feature, which is a really cool feature. The whole thing, another complaint of mine was not being able to take selfies or pictures with the other Keyblade characters or main characters, stuff like that. They weren't open to take any pictures with. They sort of changed that in this data grading feature where you can do that, although to sort of the maximum level now, where not only can you take a selfie, but you can just put poses of all the different characters, use whole backgrounds of all the different worlds. You can create some really cool stuff, some really interesting stuff if you know how to get really creative with your poses and your facial reactions and stuff like that. So some of the stuff can be really fun if you really know what you're doing. So this was a really cool feature that I never would have even dreamed of. Unfortunately, it's sort of, I was mad how it sort of teased sort of gameplay in Radiant Garden and Destiny Islands. But overall, this was still a really fun feature to have. One feature, though, unfortunately, that I just can't really comment right now on is the whole premium menu thing. This is something that you can only get once you beat Yozora. For those people who don't know, the premium menu is something to where you can add sort of easiness or difficulty to the gameplay using things called easy codes or pro codes. Unfortunately, like I said, I haven't quite beaten Yozora yet, so I can't really comment on this feature. What I will say is, though, is that it is a cool feature to have to sort of make sort of customize your battles or add sort of difficulty. Some stuff I've seen is like being able to beat bosses in one hit. I'm not really sure how many people really want that unless they want to do sort of a speed run. But another cool one is like setting things to where you can't get like limit form changes and stuff like that, adding that sort of difficulty. So all of that stuff is like, wow, okay, you know what? I really want to really test this feature out for myself and see how much it does add in terms of sort of gameplay variety and stuff like that. So overall, the Remind DLC, this whole thing was very fulfilling, very fun, that I enjoyed. The boss battles, I thought the story was interesting. It made Kingdom Hearts 3's endgame battle very epic. Like I said, a really cool secret boss, even though I haven't beat it yet, and a good setup for things to come forward in Kingdom Hearts 4 or whatever the next game is going to be, just because there is a whole lot of teases that it's like, okay, this story, it's going to keep going right here, and what they got going in terms of that secret episode, I just can't make any sense of it. Unfortunately, though, I do have to say, though, that this whole Remind thing, I'll make a video on this later, but I don't think I don't think it's fixed Kingdom Hearts 3 all the way there yet, just because the main problem, though, is still that the base of Kingdom Hearts 3, I still think it is a little bit flawed. I'll make a video on that later on. But overall, this Remind DLC was a whole lot of fun and enjoyable, and definitely elevated my opinions of Kingdom Hearts 3, mainly from a difficulty standpoint and sort of fixing that final battle. But like I said, I'll make a video on sort of why things aren't all the way quite fixed. But overall, this was a fun experience. So that does it for this video. This one has gone on very long, but there was a whole lot of stuff to talk about. I hope y'all enjoyed, and thank you for watching.